Y'all ready to be history?
Get started.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
To the Pro Audio Suite.
These guys are professional. They're motivated.
With Tech to the VO stars. George Whittam, founder of Source Elements. Robert Marshall, international audio engineer. Darren Robbo Robertson and Global Voice. Andrew Peters, thanks to Tribooth. Austrian Audio, making passion heard. Source Elements. George the Tech Whittam. And Robbo and AP's international demos. To find out more about us, check theproaudiosuite.com.
Line up, ladies!
Here we go.
And welcome to another Pro Audio Suite, thanks to Tribooth. Don't forget the code TRIPAP200 to get $200 off yours. And by the time this goes to air, I'll have mine set up somewhere remotely in Australia. And Austrian Audio, making passion heard. We're hearing from our special guest today, Michael Pearce-Adams, or as we like to call him down here, Gomez from Waves Audio, has a brand new product which I have to admit I think I looked at, but I can't remember. It's all to do with hormone treatment that that is messing with my brain.
I think the funniest thing about that entire intro is it sounds like a telemercial on Channel 10 at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you should mention that. That's Andrew's pedigree. Let's be honest.
Me and a guy called Brad Turner used to film those in Melbourne years and years at like 1990. It's like, hey, we've got Brad and Michael here from Double TFM to talk about a new product.
Hang on a cotton pick a minute. Were you doing that?
Yeah.
I used to go down there. I was with Brad, who was a Double T.
Yeah, BT and me. It was fun.
Oh, my God. We must have crossed paths. John Dramanis was also involved at some point.
We all used to make money like that. Those were the years.
Indeed.
Anyway,
thanks,
guys, for having me here. It's been a pleasure. I guess I'll see you next time, right?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and g'day to Brad if you're listening too.
Yeah.
Tell us about this new product, because for some reason thought I would be good to help you with the beta testing. So I know all about it, but you should probably fill our listeners in.
So the one of the first things that I need to mention about what we call Voice Regen is it's not a plugin, and it will never be a plugin. And we can talk about that part later down the line. But one of the largest and fastest growing audiences or of users who create some kind of audio in the world are not DAW users or video editor users. They're content creators. And one of the things that I thought really long and hard about was they might not understand how to fix bad audio, but they do understand what bad audio sounds like. So let's give them a solution. So we spent about 3.5 years working on building a very large language model and training it on what good audio sounds like. And we've come up with this product called Voice Regen, which can make even the worst, nearly irretrievable dialogue sound nearly like a podcast mic. And very, very usable. And on the website, some of the demos I use, actually most of the demos are very Australian because, you know, I have access to a lot of content creators here. But literally, one of the cases was a podcast recording from Riverside where on video, the guest looked like they were recording into a nice microphone, but the reality was they were actually recording on their MacBook microphone, which was across the room. And, you know, in that kind of
classic mistake,
such a common problem.
It's a hugely common problem, but it's also one that is emotionally very, very stressful for somebody who thinks they've got great content and realizes it could be completely and utterly useless because of that fact. And this is kind of why I built Voice Regen, not for the people who mostly control the content, but for all of those out of control scenarios where bad things happen and you have to work out, how do I retrieve this? Do I pay somebody? Do I learn how to use a tool that I've never seen before? Is there something I can just drag and drop it onto and have it fix it for me, which is what we built.
But quite seriously, some of those examples that you have up there, your normal plugin would probably be of no help anyway. They're so far gone.
Yeah.
That you would only be detrimental to the audio you were trying to keep anyway.
And honestly, if you think about the amount of time that it would take, say for example, Robbo, if you'd been paid to take one of those pieces of audio, you'd spend a few hours on it and you'd still go back to it and go, no, I'm still not happy with it. And one of the first things that we had when we put the first demos out was people from, our existing audience, which are all plugin users, which we're very grateful for, saying, make this a plugin. And we're constantly explaining now, the reason this will never be a plugin is because it would break the CPU and GPU on any computer. It doesn't matter if it's an M5 that came out last week or, a really powerful PC. It just would break it. It's not possible. This takes too much energy and too much power, so it's in the cloud.
Tell us, what are we doing to the audio? I mean, it's called voice regen for a reason.
We're literally regenerating. So we're listening to what it is. We're taking the tonality as much as we can find, and we're literally rebuilding it so that it is what the LLM expects it to be. One of the examples that displays that fairly clearly on the website is a Creative Commons public recording from one of the 60s trips to the moon, where we take the NASA radio from the moon and make it sound like he's talking into a podcast mic. And you can tell it's the same person. It's just 1 minute he's on the moon and the next minute he's not. And so this.
But was he on the moon?
I wasn't going to go there, but I knew one of you would. So,
and my point would be that, Robert, there's hope for our podcast yet, mate.
Yes, that's right.
Well, I mean, I think I'll just stop recording right now, and you can just capture this directly off the phone, right? Good enough.
No, don't
Sweet.
do that, Robert.
Yeah, please
don't. But take into account, Robert, that I actually can do that with voice regen.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, like, live by the sword, die by the sword. Let's do it, Robbo. Come on.
I'm already doing it with Gomez's audio. Actually, I'm going to be sending it back in a second.
And there's a couple of different ways to use this, and there's a couple of different things that I've built in and that we're about to kind of add. One of them is I've given people the ability to record directly onto the in the app either on their phone or on a computer, and I've given them a place to put their script, and you can either use it as a teleprompter and have it scroll, or you can just kind of stick speed to 0 and the script will stay there in front of you so that you can actually look at the script while you're talking into a mic the same way a voiceover does. And then and one of the reasons we did this is because a lot of the time, if talent is remote, whether it's a podcast guest or somebody else, you can still make them sound like they're in front of a better microphone and de-room it with just drag and drop and process. We're about to add in 2 weeks a pop-out teleprompter so that you can actually put the teleprompter on a separate screen, make it really large, just underneath your camera so that you can use the teleprompter. And we're also adding record video onto the recording page. So you can select your video camera, select your microphone, and even if it's the MacBook microphone and you're in a kitchen, we'll make it sound like you're wearing a lapel.
So this all sits up on a server, is that correct?
Yep.
And is this part of the what's the bundle? You know, the subscription. Nope. Do you get the
no? So if you're paying for Creative Access plugins, then you're not getting regen. If you want regen, then just go and subscribe to. I mean, I've made it super cheap. I mean, to get 5 hours of processing per month, I'm charging $4.99 US right now.
Oh, that's cheap.
But I also give you everybody on a free account, which needs no billing address, no credit card or anything. You get 5 minutes free per day. So if you think about all the short form content that people could literally record on their phone with the video, not have to wear a lapel, put the video straight into voice regen, and then post it on TikTok, etc. And by the way, we're finding that video files are about 50% of the files being uploaded to voice regen right now. So
So it takes in video, demuxes it, does the audio processing, remuxes the video.
Absolutely.
Video,
we give you back an MP4 with clean audio.
Nice.
Here's a question, and look, I know it probably doesn't need to be answered by you guys, but I'm sure plenty of people are asking it, given the AI temperature at the moment, shall we say. What happens to all these AI samples once they've been processed?
Your audio stays on your dashboard until 14 days, and then at that point, it's automatically deleted. And if you look at the user dashboard, it says, I think I've got it in like 2 places right now. It says anything you have in your files is deleted after 14 days. One of the things that we do not do is use any user's files to try and improve our model. Our model is our model. We improve it by paying for content from specific companies that do that kind of thing. For 2 reasons. Number one, it's because it's, we want to stay 100% legal with where our content comes from. And number 2, scraping is a really, really bad idea. It's unethical, it's not moral, and it's lying. So we do not use any user's audio to help educate our model at all. And by the way, there's another reason for that. When you've got a large language model like this, you don't educate it by giving it terrible audio. You educate it by giving it very high quality audio. It's not like we can educate this by giving it regen processed audio, because that's a bit like, OpenAI ChatGPT scraping and finding more information that it created that was wrong, and
it's eating the beast is eating its tail.
Yeah,
basically.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like it's not the way to do it, but it's nobody's information gets used.
When does the $4.99 limited time? Because it's normally $9.99, right?
Well,
for the creator,
defined normally, it's like ultimately, as far as I'm concerned, I will keep going on the $4.99 until I feel like I've reached a point where we're established. We released this on January 26th in a very quiet launch. So far, we have about 35,000 members, which, for a
good.
month and a half, I'm pretty proud of.
Wow. Yeah.
We've processed a ridiculous amount of audio in that time, which I also keep tabs on. But I want people to keep on joining, because one of the things that happens when you have a free account and you're using it is occasionally an error happens, or a file that you upload doesn't work. And those kind of errors do get flagged, and they help me and my team. And I'm looking at the data every day to see, okay, I can't hear the file, I can't see the file, but if it fails, I can see what codec it was and kind of like what length or what was in it, so that I actually can learn and improve how we deal with errors, and also keep on adding, oh, there's that codec from that. Okay, cool, let's add that. I want to keep the price down so that we keep on bringing more people in.
By the way, it processes really fast. So, it immediately tells you to download a WAV file. And I guess did you do that so that you could ensure there'd be a local copy for the user?
Absolutely. And once you've done that once, effectively what will happen is you press record, as you just did. You can preview it and go, yeah, I'm going to like that. I'm going to process that. As soon as that happens and you press OK, it will take a copy of that and put it into your default downloads folder, so that you have a redundancy. Right. And from my perspective, anybody who wants to record anything should have a backup of that's not touched by any server.
Well, if you haven't got a backup, you haven't got it at all, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Remember, this is developed by somebody whose theory is there's no such thing as a backup unless there's the backup of the backup.
Mm-hmm. Right. You don't have a copy unless you have 2 copies.
Exactly. Yeah. And the other thing is, once you click on a file, you have a toggle between the before and after audio. And most of the time, you can just tell by even looking at the WAV file that something dramatic has happened.
Is the processing basically faster than real time?
Way faster than real time.
Really quick. Really quick. Yeah.
So
how'd you go, Robert? Have you got something you can play it? George, sorry. Have you got
here's Robert on the phone.
I don't know. I'm going to ask Gomez, when does the $4.99 limited time not? Because it's normally $9.99, right?
All right, and here's the processed version.
I don't know. I'm going to ask Gomez, when does the $4.99 limited time not? It's because it's normally $9.99, right?
Isn't that bizarre?
It sounds all like a phone to me.
Yeah.
Well, that's your technology, man. Sorry.
It is freaky. The first time I did that, I was not on the phone. I haven't done a phone one like that, but fucking hell.
But the thing is, it's like we've got a couple of radio networks in the States and a radio network in Australia using this now, so that phone interviews, even if it's down to an artist who, doing tags, hey, it's such and such, and you're listening too, suddenly it's not a phone interview anymore. Suddenly you've got them sitting in a studio recording the tags, and they can be used in proper promos.
Take all your old phone IDs and reprocess them, right?
100%.
You could have Jim Morrison saying, "G'day, this is Jim Morrison," sounding like he was sitting across the room from you.
I don't think Jim Morrison would say g'day. No, just technical.
No, he might not.
So as an experiment, just because I don't really have much of a life, about 3 weeks ago, I went looking for the oldest John Lennon interviews, and I found a video of one that had so much ground hum, and it was like the interviewer was in a white coat and all very, very and I put it through Voice Regen, and then I put it through a visual sharpener called Topaz Video, and I ended up watching this kind of like Netflix HD video of John Lennon, and it sounded amazing. I mean, this has it has a lot of use cases, this. So.
It's probably a bit advanced for where you're at with the software, but just thinking as an audio engineer now, like with that two-header John Lennon interview that we're just talking about, can I pan left and right, or is it just all straight up the center?
So right now it's all up the center. And so, for example, right now, if you put in a multi-channel file, at this point in time, if it's only stereo, we'll mono it. If it's a multi-channel, more than 2 channels at this point in time, we'll politely tell you we can't do it. Or if we think we can do it, we're only doing the first channel.
Right.
We're working on that. That's another reason why I study the data so much, is so that we can learn from how the system deals with different kinds of files.
And it's for spoken
This
word
is for
only,
dialogue
correct?
only, yes.
Speech,
But I can see like Peter Jackson. I'm surprised he hasn't been on the hornpipe saying, "Can I have a go?"
We already have a couple of post-production studios who have said we used this for boom mics from a film when one of the mics failed. So it's like, and one of the reasons why we've got a pro account, which has 13 hours, and then we'll end up with an enterprise account. The other thing that we're doing with this is we're also about to launch an API version of Voice Regen, so that you can actually plug Voice Regen into your own funnel, and kind of create your own service of it.
The only person I can see, or part of the industry suffering from this, is if you're into audio dialogue replacement, because you won't be needed anymore.
Well, yes and no. I mean, there's a couple of things. Firstly, a lot of the situations that Voice Regen is useful to a user are the users who would never go to a dialogue editor in the first place. They don't even know what the term means. All they know is their audio is terrible. They need a solution. What I'm not selling them is a hammer and a nail. I'm selling them a nail hammered into a wall. They don't need the process. They don't understand the process. They will never know who to go to or who to ask for. So therefore, I'm not really risking anybody's career.
No.
The other thing that's important here is the content creator market is like 150 million times bigger than the audio pro market. I feel like I'm going to get to like 1% of it, maybe. So I'm not losing sleep feeling like I'm taking anybody's job away.
I'll tell you someone who could benefit from this, and there's a podcast I was watching earlier, and I'll tell you exactly what it's called. I think it's Racing News 365, and they do a Formula One podcast. Every time there's someone beaming in to them, like a guest or something, or the person's on location, they compress the shit out of it to a point where it's so gated that half the stuff is missing. It's like, what the hell did you, like, words are gone.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, and it's like, come on. And I've sent them a message saying, your gates, it's too heavy with the gating. Half your dialogue's gone.
Well, you raise an interesting point that I was going to make, was that, there for content creators, there actually is a direct correlation between the quality of your audio and how much people believe you.
Yeah.
It's actually been studied at the University of Queensland and that one in California when we've talked about this before. It's like you can draw a line almost in terms
100%.
of how listener perception of the information you're giving them falls as your audio quality gets more shit.
It doesn't matter if
Crazy.
you've got an FX3 camera with a Sigma lens, anamorphic, perfect lighting, and your sharp focus. If your audio sounds like you're recording on a Logitech C920 webcam in a kitchen,
which you probably are.
Just a random side note, the highest selling webcam still in 2026 is the Logitech C920.
I've got one.
I think I'm using it right now.
Literally, it's like I have a report software that I pay for a lot for every month that tells me how many things sell on Amazon per product. This thing just on Amazon sells like at least 20,000 a day. It's insane.
It's not a bad camera.
Mine's a C922.
Oh, you've got the Porsche version. Anyway, but yeah, good audio is confidence. And that's kind of one of the things that, from my perspective, I wanted with Voice Regen is to give people confidence, because, if you look amazing, but your sound is really rough, it does lower your self-esteem and you think, oh, do I really want to put that out there? What I want is somebody to feel like they can just literally pick up their phone, record something, hit process, and send it out into the world, know that it sounds amazing, without knowing how it was achieved. Focus on the content and let us look after your polish.
I agree.
So if you like what you've come up with for people who are doing content, instead of worrying about all the shit that they have no idea what it is, just do what you do best and let the machine do the work for you, the other bit for you.
The other thing is that, this is something which I ummed and ahed about, was how large a file I wanted to enable people to play with. So you can upload anything to Voice Regen up to 1.5 gig in size. So now 1.5 gig, if you're at 720 for, something like that with video, you're talking, I ran one of the webinars I did with kind of like Andrew Sheps or somebody. I ran the entire webinar at 720p after I ripped it down off YouTube through Voice Regen, and that was like 2 hours, and it cleaned up our vocals, something chronic. It was amazing. But 1.5 gig I think is enough, and if you're just doing audio, that's like 4 hours of audio right there.
And if you're doing 4 hours of podcasting, you're not going to have an audience,
right?
They're gone, they're asleep.
Yeah.
We should know.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
About not having an audience, I mean.
Yeah. I think we have. Yeah.
So where do you think this leads, Gomez? Where do you think, what's the next horizon? If content creator focus is added to what Waves is already doing, I mean, not specifically, but in a broader sense, do you think as an industry in general that focus is going to move in that direction?
Not really. I mean, let me give you some perspective. So there are 3 product managers at Waves who deal specifically in live sound, because we have one of the most popular digital live consoles in the world with the LV1. There are 10 product managers who deal specifically with the plugin market and coming up with ideas for plugins, developing plugins, etc. Because that's what a product manager does. A product manager comes up with the concept for something, fleshes it out, and then works with a development team all the way through to make it happen. There's one product manager at Waves who deals with the content creator market. That's me. And for a company who has, we have about 5 million plugin users who have purchased plugins over the years and in our database. Our focus is still very, very much on looking after the market that is our heritage. However, my goals are set on how can we take advantage of the processing that we have, the skills that we have, and the technology that we have to make a content creator's life easier so that they can focus on content and not focus on trying to learn a new skill. And that does two things. Number one, it helps us retain the people in the industry like yourselves who are voiceovers, production experts, etc. And means there are less people out there on Fiverr saying, hey, I can prompt you a radio ad. But also means that the audience gets a better product regardless.
Is there a user feedback functionality? I remember kind of in the earlier days of this type of technology, I'd watch YouTube videos that had occasional audio randomness. You'd be just listening to dialogue, and then one or two words were just
yes, yeah, I
and then they would,
wasn't that with Discord?
So if
that like
was it Discord or one of those?
Discord.
Tools,
so
like
Discord used to bit crunch the crap out of things.
Yeah. So can you give feedback? Like if you get bad output, which I would imagine you've done a lot to prevent from ever happening, but can you give feedback?
There is a support page and a contact form, and I get a report from tech support literally 6 days a week on anything that comes from them, and we escalate it. So if it's something that's really easy and it's a user issue, and 80% of the time a problem that comes to us is a user issue, so something they didn't quite understand, that we clear up. But if there's a real problem with audio, then I will contact them directly and say, are you happy to let me listen to the audio file or and give you an explanation? Because at this point in time, we're still in the point where we want to make sure that everybody who has the chance to really get an idea of why their file didn't work should know why. And one of the other things we're about to do is we're about to open a whole new set of social media channels specifically for the content creator market, because we can't really run tutorials on voice regen on, Waves YouTube, and then somebody will be scrolling and they'll go from, oh, that was really useful. And then the next one is Andrew Sheps talking about high pass and low pass, and we lose them.
Yeah, exactly.
We're opening a set of new channels. We've just employed a whole new marketing department to deal specifically with this so that we can actually give content creators the attention they deserve without affecting anything else in Waves or lessening the attention that we give to our heritage audience.
Did you say Discord? Was that the
Discord used to bit crunch everything to...
Yeah, I was going to say, because it used to do this weird thing.
Also, Discord, when you put it in the system that would try to clean up the audio, it would just like...
No, you're talking about Descript.
Yeah. Oh, Descript.
Oh, Discord or sorry, Descript. Yes, Descript.
Descript.
Make up
Descript
words.
Studio toggle.
It's called Sound Studio. Sound Studio.
Yeah. So, do you remember the one that you sent us, George, where it was a real estate thing where it all of a sudden went and started doing gibberish?
So
it sounded like what I would like to do is get that plug in, and then I want to get the chef from Sesame Street and run that through it.
So from what I mean, obviously, I haven't managed to get anybody from Descript.com to talk to me about this for obvious reasons, probably. But I have actually genuinely. I mean, you guys know me. I'm pretty genuine and open book. I have reached out and said, I would love to talk to you about helping you improve that. Because from my perspective, what I want to do is I want to make sure that the content creators who are using anything get the best and feel that's really good. What I feel like their audio process is doing is, number one, I feel like it's giving the users a bit too much control without explaining what the toggle is doing. But when it's on full, which I think most people just put it onto full without really, I think it bit crunches to a point where, as you said, some words just disappear. Now, one of the interesting things about this, when I was investigating this kind of problem, was I found out around the same time that AI generated video with dialogue. The dialogue with most video models comes out in the codec as 96K, but is bit crunched to hell and back. if you drag that AI video onto Voice Regen, it makes it sound like they're talking into a boom mic or a lapel. So suddenly, the AI video that was given away by the audio, irritatingly to some people, really impressive to others, now looks really realistic because the audio sounds realistic.
I think all AI video should always put Waldo somewhere.
Yes.
You mean the Waldo watermark?
Yeah, that's how you know it's AI, because Waldo is somewhere in the video.
Seeming as you brought up Waldo, I'll share something which I share with the team every week at Waves. Once a week when we have our engineering meeting, I create a new Where's Waldo but with me in it, using Google's Nano Banana Pro. And I share it in the Teams chat every week, and the product manager's like, okay, where's MPA? Where's MPA? Where's MPA?
Where's Gomez?
It's funny. I wear pajamas that stripy.
We were bananas in pajamas.
Do those bananas? Does that make your banana?
We were in a meeting. Yesterday, and I was wearing a collared shirt, and I had 3 people say, "You look like you're a prisoner." I was like, okay. So.
Because we all are prisoners.
Well, for me, as a user of Waves, the hardest thing for me to wrap my head around when I hadn't looked at it yet was just understanding that it is not a plugin. So that's like number one. It's like you have to get out of the ecosystem of Wave Central when your brain clicks and goes,
first video,
it's a web app. Okay, I got it.
The first video I did on Voice Regen was to the large Waves market, saying, and it literally is all about, hey, we've just released this thing, just so you know, it's not a plugin.
Don't panic.
That's kind of the idea of the video. It's not, I mean, we're not degrading or saying our users couldn't understand stuff, but we wanted to make it clear that for the first time ever, we're releasing an audio process that isn't a plugin. It's like, I wouldn't have wanted to release this without letting the bigger audience know first we're about to.
Is it also mobile friendly? I didn't forget.
Absolutely. To the point that in the next push, in the next few days, we're adding a little banner that says, hey, do you want to kind of shortcut this so it looks like an app on your phone? Teleprompter works on the phone. You can audio record to a script on your phone. You can drag a video or an audio file from your phone straight in and press process. I'm not letting people on mobile phone record video when we release that, because a mobile phone is perfectly good at recording video by itself, and you're holding it. Just record the video with your standard app, upload that. That's easy.
So here's a question then. This just occurred to me. If I were a voiceover artist and I was putting together my travel rig and I had a interface like, maybe something that some certain podcast may have put together.
Yeah.
Sold for a while. But I needed something to record onto. Could I use it just as a recorder? Like, I guess the question is, do I have to process?
No,
can I record onto there and then just download?
You don't have to process. You can just do it that way if you want to. Yeah.
So does it burn your hours if you use that teleprompter and the recorder, or is that all without using the hours the only thing that burns your minutes is the processing.
So if I record it onto there and download,
it's a teleprompter and a recorder right there.
Yeah, and that's honestly, and it's actually intentional. And one of the reasons why I did that is because of my heritage and my background from, not just 20 years in music production in the States, but 15 before that in radio production in Australia. One of the things that when you've got headphones on, you've recorded a script and you listen back. It's when you listen back that you realize, yep, sounds good, but I'm in a hotel room. You know what? I'm just going to click process and de-room this.
Exactly.
It's right there.
I love that you integrated the script reader. That was first. I was like,
what? I had to.
Well,
I mean, especially, I've got 2 users who are on pro accounts because they are professional audiobook readers, and they love me to death because I got them to beta test this, and they were like, wait, so I can have literally chapters in this and just have it right there in front of me, scrolling really slow, and just do it at my own speed? It's like, yeah, and just pause if you want to.
this is going to be controversial, but I guarantee you could literally just record an entire audiobook on an iPhone, full stop.
If you give this really good audio, will it still touch it, or will it go, that's good?
Interesting question. I'm so glad you asked it. Now, because of the fact that this is a very large model that's trained on high quality files, it's trained on not the highest quality. It's trained on quality files. So when somebody from a studio puts in a file that's recorded in, a Neumann and in a soundproofed room, EQ'd, compressed, perfect
preamp, and
exactly. If you put that into it, it will degrade the file.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Fair enough. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense, though.
Because what it does is it's still trying to go, okay, I have a quality that I'm trying to get this file to. This, I don't know what to do with this, so it's going to degrade it for you.
But only if you hit process, right? You can still record.
Well, of course, yes.
100%. Yeah.
At some point, you decide this model is baked. Let's build a new model and start all over.
We're on the third model right now. Because as I said earlier on, we're also about to enable this as an API that people can use as a feature to put into their own website and charge for or whatever. So what this will end up being is there'll be the initial model that will end up being kind of like one of the most affordable ones. And then as we build new models that will be more dynamic or brighter or this, then we'll decide how we want to move forward with the consumer app, the one that we just released.
You could have a model that says this is a voice that sounds like it was recorded with the U87.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. There's a couple of reasons I don't want to go that exact. Number one, it's a huge claim.
Yeah.
But number two, one of the things that happens if you're creating a tool that content creators use is you run a risk of giving people who are focusing on recording their content and creating content and don't want to be an audio engineer or a video editor, you're asking them to make too many decisions without the experience, knowledge to back it up. And that becomes what I call feature creep. You're asking them to make a decision on control on something that
they may not be able to hear.
Well,
really know.
Even that is but understanding what you're hearing. Whereas my goal is still, I don't want to give you a hammer and a nail. I want to give you a nail that's in a wall.
I would imagine 99% of content creators would ask, what is a U87?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you take a look at what a lot of, there's been a lot of experience over the years with different pro audio companies entering the content creator market in one way or another. And I've studied most of them, and I'm not saying I or we are perfect in any way, but one of the things I've learned from others' mistakes is, number one, never use pro audio nomenclature when you're talking to a market that could be a wedding event planner doing a vlog. At what point in her life or his life have they come across a high pass, low pass filter and a 2-to-1 compression ratio? It's even the term compression or EQ, I want to stay away from them.
Well, even in Clarity VX, you have, I haven't checked in the last 2 months, but 3 models, right? That the user gets
and there will be
selection.
more. The Clarity development team, and it's a team, they're constantly at work improving, tweaking. And obviously there has been some, questions as well out in the marketplace. It's like, well, you made Clarity a plugin. Is Regen just a website of Clarity? No, completely different models, completely different processes. Clarity can be a plugin. Regen will never be a plugin because it will melt a computer.
They're different products. I mean, Clarity
100%.
is not there to change the character of the sound. It's there to isolate the voice and the character that's given to it.
Right. Whereas
correct?
we literally regenerate a voice.
You change the character. You're like
I wouldn't say we're not really changing the character. We're
no, the sonic character.
Yeah.
Like this was originally recorded on a whatever, like a carbon microphone,
a wire recorder.
yeah, and now it sounds like it's coming out of a SM7.
Yeah.
like that the character of the recording, not the person.
Would rebuilding it be a better way to say it?
We're
renovating.
We're kind of regenerating in a lot of cases, because it's like we're kind of looking at in a way, I guess, the DNA of a vocal tone, and going, okay, let's put some work in and improve this. So
in the end, you know how you go to various websites, we won't name them, and then you've put your voice in there, and there's the whole idea of a one-shot voice model.
Cloning? Yeah, no, we don't do that.
Cloning, yeah. So this is not a clone. Like just to be clear, it's not learning this person's voice.
Nope.
That someone uploads to it.
Nope.
And those people have nothing to worry about, like, oh, now you've uploaded my voice to some website I don't want my voice uploaded to.
No, we don't retain. It's like it goes through our process, it goes out the other end. It doesn't even stay in our cloud. It goes back to your dashboard, and after 14 days we just delete them from the system.
You know, I had one case a year ago, because I know everything's happening so fast. So whenever I say I tried this thing, you sort of have to say when, because like everything's changing. But the client had sent me some audio from like a Catholic priest or something, and it was all this archival audio, and it was recorded on a bad technology, probably like a 12-bit, 32 kilohertz or worse recorder that was built into something pretty bad. And they sent it to me, and the audio was pretty bad. And then I threw it into one of these AI tools that regenerate essentially. And when she listened to it back, she was kind of, I think she didn't know what to expect, because it was a reconstruction, right? And so she thought it didn't sound authentic. So then I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. This is probably what it did sound like, but you've heard it for the last 30 years sounding like it comes through a tin can, out of a...
It's exactly the same thing that happens with... I was talking to a producer, composer, guy called Greg Wells, a few months ago, and we were talking about a soundtrack that he's just composed. And one of the biggest problems with composing a soundtrack and making the film director and the company happy with it is when they're actually doing the edit of the film, they use a temp soundtrack, which is usually an existing soundtrack from something else that kind of fits. But they spend so many months on the cutting room floor with the temp soundtrack that when the new soundtrack that's being composed specifically for it comes up, a lot of the time they're like, oh, that sucks. So,
because they're not used to it.
I think the funniest example of this is some clients of mine were talking about a session, and basically the scratch track was done with an AI, and then they were recording the real voice, and they began asking the voice talent to read it more like the scratch track, which was basically saying, please read it more like AI.
Yep.
Oh gosh. Like,
how to lose your soul in 5 seconds.
Yeah. I had that exact thing happen to me with we talked about this session before, where it was a female reading to this short film that they wanted me to voice, and I was kind of thinking, that sounds okay anyway. But they said, oh, no, she can't, the few words are not pronounced correctly. And I'm thinking, well, why don't you just get her back to redo those lines? But it wasn't until later I realized it was an AI. But they were trying to get me, like, oh, the inflection on the guide track, can you try and do that? And it wasn't until the next day, I think, and I mentioned this before in another episode, that I was playing it to my son, who's 17. I said, oh, this is what happened. He goes, that's AI. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I can hear it a mile away usually too.
They can hear it a mile away, the kids.
I'm 56, but I can hear it a mile away because I've spent the last few years literally deep in AI research. And one of the things that's really hard, even if you're using something as good as 11 Labs, you have to make sure that words, especially in English, words that are the same. So, say, for example, wonder or wonder. So, WANDER, WONDER. You have to work out a way of spelling them phonetically so that they are separated. And there are so many other words in the English language that AI just does not get its perceptive head around because it doesn't have a perception version of the context in between this word, and this word when it's spelt one way but is pronounced another. So
I remember doing this with phoning chips in college, and to get this thing to say electronics, you had to put like 10 E's in a row, because if not, it would go like electronics, and if you wanted to say electronics, you had to put like E-E-E-E-E-L, like electronics.
Yeah.
Because it just, you have to like force it to get out what you want, because it's not always.
There's training.
Yeah, but it's also dialect. I mean, I've just heard a couple of things. Like I heard Gomez say data instead of data, but it's spelt the same, but it's pronounced differently. Like dance,
20 years in America, man.
Yeah.
Tomato.
Yeah, exactly. It's like when you get someone who like English is not their first language, and then they're writing on the script their phonetic version of how you pronounce that word, but they forget that the fact is that their phonetics are going to be different to yours because they say certain things differently the way you would say it. So when you read their phonetic version of that word, it's completely wrong, and they come back and go, no, that's not what I want. I want it blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, that's what I just did, but because they will pronounce it differently.
So now this brings up something which I think is interesting. I find it fascinating when building the model for regen was happening, the first model, is a term that we realized early on that we had to rectify, which is accent bias. If a model is educated on too many of a specific accent, then it doesn't understand how to deal with other pronunciations or accents. So initially, early on, an Australian accent was an anomaly, and some of the first tests we did was frustrating because the Americans would sound amazing, the Brits would sound amazing, but anytime I tried it, it would sound glitchy as hell. And we worked out it just doesn't understand this half-drunk way we talk.
Hey, careful.
We're not half drunk, but it's like we tend to kind of take shortcuts with the way we speak. So we had to kind of make sure that we spent a lot of time avoiding accent bias. So
is this only for English English language at this point?
No, it works with Hebrew, works with French, German, Spanish, Japanese.
But it is language specific, basically.
No, it's human voice specific.
Yes, it's understanding.
So if does it work with Pig Latin?
I have no idea. It's not high on my list of priorities, to be honest.
Go and record
He's not trained on Pig Latin yet, Robert.
Go and record a few
I'm just
chapters,
saying,
Robert,
like if it's like some unknown language that it's never ever heard before.
Here's the key. Here's the key with Voice Regen. If you're putting a file into Voice Regen and in the language that you speak, you can understand the words that are coming out of the speaker's mouth, regardless of the noise level, we have a chance of saving that file for you. If there are words in that file that you cannot comprehend yourself, then our chance goes down by about 80%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is this forensics proof? Like could someone go to court and be like, here's this awful recording, but look, he said I murdered her. And then Voice Regen's like, perfect. Like, there, can't you hear that?
100%. And it's like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're not making up. There's no point in this system where we make stuff up. We regenerate what the system understands.
So a word that is really garbled because there was a technical.
A word that is really garbled is still going to stay really garbled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the early cases, and because one of the things which we did is we spent a lot of time throwing files at it that were really, really challenging. Like two people filmed on an iPhone, but they're 30 feet away on the edge of a cliff with wind. One's talking, one's further away. She's yelling back at him.
With wind, yeah.
You've got the wind. And we learned very quickly that if you're listening to a file and you're listening to the audio and you can't understand what they're saying, then our chance of getting there is a lot lower. It's not every case. There are some that we go, oh, that's what she said. But most of the time, it's at that point where the audio dialogue frequencies are so mixed down into the noise frequencies that we can't regenerate because we have nothing there to work with.
So what it does not do, it does not interpolate.
No.
It's not using context. Right. It's not there's no context. It's not decoding the language and re-encoding the language.
Right.
It's just decoding the voice, the human voice in there, and performing the voice.
And the examples I have on the landing page on the website are very intentional. They're all bad quality, but they're also all very, if you listen to them, you can understand the words, but you're like, oh, that's terrible. And the reason for that is exactly what I just said. It's like there is no point in the system where we just guess, because that's, we already have enough of that with ChatGPT and other AI systems. It's like what I did was we created a model that can bring back nearly irretrievable audio. But it's also not going to happen in every single case. There are some cases, obviously, where people put in audio and go, yeah, it didn't help.
So is a future possible pro version or advanced version would be to literally regenerate a word that was totally garbled, so the user could type in the word foxy and then it will regenerate the word foxy from that speech model.
It's been discussed. Feature? One of the things that comes up with this that is a big problem for me, because as a product manager, one of the things that you're thinking is something possible. You're thinking, is this possible in a way that the result will be something that the user will take for granted as something that happened and can move on with their life without worrying about it? And my answer at this point in time is still no, because what you're doing is you're saying, okay, right, so we have to, first of all, clone a certain amount of the voice in between, around the word that's illegible. We then have to make sure that, okay, they're typing in a word, that's what the word was. We have to get that voice to then say that. We then have to get it in the right intonation, the right emotion, the right quality to fit the rest of the regenerated audio around it. And if you're creating one word, it's actually a lot harder than it sounds to create one that's average quality, that's even with the rest of it, than it is to create one that's perfect quality.
It's a different product, really. I mean, it's adding a feature to the product.
I'm going to drop in an old school solution. Remember in the day when if there was, and it can only work if it's a small, like one word problem, but you would get a male or a female, not the same voice, to do it, and then you would cut it in, and it's so fast that the mind doesn't actually perceive it.
Yeah. Who were the people that were best at doing that? It was always the musicians, because the musicians could follow the pitch of the person.
Yeah, I done it a few times, I'll be honest, to save things. I can't remember.
And I never got paid for it, like the voice talent.
I'm sure AP could do it, and I know Paul Davies and I used to do it all the time at B105.
Yeah, I used to do it.
Change the numbers.
With Robert. I've done it with Robert, where he's like, the audio's like chopped the end of a word off, and I've recorded the end of that
the
word
rest of it
cut
in
it
there.
in, and you can't pick it.
In the old days, if you dropped in and you dropped the end off, like an ing off the end of a word or something.
Yeah.
I know my daughter can match pitch in like a supernatural way. When my girlfriend first introduced herself, my girlfriend's name is Firze. And my daughter immediately picked it up. And I said, hey, honey, do you want to do a drawing for Firza? And my daughter immediately says, it's not Firza, Dad. It's Firza. And she like immediately, like a tape recorder, played back, in her brain the way it's supposed to sound. And I was like, holy crap. My 12-year-old can play back audio from her brain.
That's the key. That's the key to it being a mimic.
Amazing.
You can mimic stuff. Like I remember going to, because my other half, she speaks Italian, and it was like, you should learn Italian so when we go there, we can both, communicate. And I was like, oh, all right, okay. So I got, convinced that I would go and do this thing. So I went to do my first Italian lesson in Melbourne, and I finished the thing. They go, oh, wow, you were really good. You're really good. And I was just mimicking. But when it came to actually building structure and knowing what the words meant and how you put them all together, I had no fucking idea.
So I've just got to ask, AP.
So you're like an AI.
So to learn to learn Italian in Melbourne, what do you do? Just go to a restaurant on Lygon Street or something? Or?
Do you know what? Do you know where the Italian school was?
Lygon Street. Yeah.
Mamma mia!
Exactly.
Just order an appetizer and just wait.
Well, it's cool.
Yeah. Or just go and do your lesson and go and get some pasta and stuff after, yeah.
Well, I've been getting more and more teaching production for podcasters and creators, so I'll definitely be mentioning this as a tool, and letting people know to try it out. Because I have, I'm working more with corporate, creators. That's another whole, category, people that do content for corporate. So C-suite,
Let's talk for a second just quickly about that. Say, for example, somebody's done a course that they've recorded their screen and then it'll hover over camera in Loom or something like that. But their camera is a webcam and their microphone is their MacBook or something. And it's like, literally, if you're lucky.
That would be
if you're lucky, but just literally drag the course video onto Voice Regen, hit process, and you're done.
Yeah. Now, quick question for you. Where can people go and check this out?
Waves.com/voice-regen. Or just type in Voice Regen Waves into your Google or whatever you want and go off and find it.
Beautiful. This could be an integral part of my road case, I think.
I was going to suggest that even if you're not a content creator or if you're a voiceover artist going, I'll never need it, just do yourself a favor. Go over and just have a play with it because you'll be blown away.
One of the reasons that I put the teleprompter in there is because of voiceover artists like you, AP, and also how often you find yourself in a position when you're not with your rig and you need to record something and you need it to get it back to the station or to the studio and have a way to do it. Now, in that case, it's not taking a producer's job away from them. What it does is it gives you, Robbo, less work to do at the other end than you would have had to. And that's also why I put a teleprompter script reader in there with 0 scroll, because if you're pasting in a 30-second script, then, you don't need it to scroll. You just need it in front of your face.
Auditions too, AP. If you got one you were out at a restaurant, for example, or something like that, you could just jump in the bathroom on your phone and record it, stick it up, do it and send it straight back.
You could, but I wouldn't, because I don't think it gets rid of slurring. I'm guessing
the red wine haze.
Yeah. It's not gonna cut it.
See, that's the other thing. It's like I worked very hard to try and make sure, and I did a lot of the coding for the teleprompter here in Brisbane. I worked very hard to try and make sure that the scroll, especially on a mobile phone, was not jittery, and it's slow enough that you can look at it on a normal phone, which is like a tablet these days, and be able to read things without constantly moving your eyes up and down. I'm really proud of this. It's like, and if anybody out there as well is interested in using an API version of this for your own service, reach out to these wonderful hosts and they'll get in contact with me.
That picture on the floor behind you,
Liechtenstein, yeah.
Can you do me a favor? Can you hang the fucking thing up?
No.
Do you know how much it frustrates me to sit here looking at that picture just sitting on the floor? Because it's really cool.
It is really cool, but it's also really heavy. It's actually a wooden cargo slat crate that was painted on. If I hang this on the wall,
it'll bring the wall
down. So yeah.
I looked at the picture of the girl, and of course, the context of what we're doing here.
Podcast.
The first thing I thought was, what pair of headphones?
It's a hairband. Yeah,
I know it is. But like her hair, her blonde.
Oh my God, George! Now I'm looking at it. Yeah. Now I won't be able to unsee that.
You can't
unsee it.
See it.
That's right. Once you see it.
Sorry, man.
Sorry.
Well, that was fun. Is it over?
The Pro Audio Suite with thanks to Tribooth and Austrian Audio. Recorded using Source Connect. Edited by Andrew Peters and mixed by Robbo. Got your own audio issues? Just ask Robbo.com. With tech support from George the Tech Whittam. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and join in the conversation on our Facebook group. To leave a comment, suggest a topic, or just say g'day, drop us a note at our website, proaudiosuite.com.